Oh, okay, there's the chat. Hello? Hello, Douse. Good to see you. Give it a few minutes to let people come in. Hello, Adriana. Hello, Millionaire. Welcome. Give it another minute or so and we'll get started. Hello, Robert. We're going to do page 75 in the chanting book for our opening chanting. Paragamino Gatha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Appakate manusesu ye jana paragamino attayang ittarapajja tirameva nudavati ye chako samadikate dhamme dhamma nuvattino te jana paramesanti macchudeyang suduttarang kanhang dhammang vippahaya sukhang bhaveta pandito oka anokang agamma viveke yatta doramang tatra birati macchaya hitva kameya kinchano pariyodapeya tanang chitta kle esi pandito Ye sang sambodhi angesu sammachittang subhavitang adana patinissagge anupadaya yerata kinasava jutti manto te loke parinibbuta. All right, English. Those who cross over. There are few among humans who go to the further shore. The rest of them run about here on this shore. But those well established in Dhamma, those who practice Dhamma, are among those who will cross over beyond the realm of death so difficult to escape. Abandoning the ways of darkness, cultivating the bright, the wise go from home to homelessness, which for others is hard to enjoy. Desiring that rare delight, renouncing pleasure, owning nothing of defilements of the mind, the wise person should cleanse himself. Those whose minds are well established in the factors of enlightenment relinquish attachments and delight not in clinging. They, untainted and radiant, in this very world, attain Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, friends. So welcome to another Monday, another Dhammapalooza. There's only a few of us on tonight, so I think probably don't have any newbies. Seems like old regulars, so I don't have to give too much of a big introduction. Hello, Elaine. Welcome. Yes, it's beautiful. I love the crossing the other shore analogy, right? You feel that when you gain enough nibbida, you're like, God, I don't want to stay on this side of the shore. I don't want to stay in this crazy, wacky world. I think I'm done. I'm done with this samsaric existence. See you later. Peace out. Yeah. So I have just come back from a retreat, and I'm actually kind of tired. That does tend to happen after a retreat. Reed and I went to Bhante Rahula's place, Lion of Wisdom. We had technically a 4 full day retreats, but it's like really 4.5. But and it was good. So I got back about lunch today. Hello, Shab. Diaper duty is important. Oh, Adriana has the first question. How did the retreat go? I'm still, it takes a while to kind of analyze a retreat. It's been so long. So let me put it this way. This is the first retreat in 7 or some odd years that I wasn't either coordinating it or teaching in it. This is the first retreat since before I left for the monastery that it was just a retreat for me. And that was interesting. All I had to worry about was myself and how I was going to survive the retreat and deal with sitting, ungodly amounts of hours a day and all that kind of stuff. Right. So it was good. It was hard. My legs were pretty brutalized because they don't do much walking over there. The little bit I got to do walking every day, I was like really happy. Even like I wanted to walk so bad. I walked in the rain yesterday. It's like, I don't care if it's rain. I'm going outside and walking just because I wanted to do some walking meditation. But yeah, it was tough. Physically tough. Any retreat, when you're meditating for long hours, it's rough on the body. I mean, unless you're, have good posture and, are able to sit for long periods of time without problems, then it makes it a little bit easier. But even for most people, over a long, many hours, packing many hours in a short amount of time. No, well, they don't do much walking meditation there. I mean, Bhante did in the beginning. He did some walking meditation, and every once in a while, he'd be like, "Okay, well, maybe we have to do a little bit of walking meditation because it looks like they're dying, but we'll do standing." But I'm not seeing any. I'm not seeing any like connection bad things on the stream that usually pop up. All right. Yeah. Interestingly enough, I had a. I was kind of expecting to have to deal with my mind a little bit, but my mind kind of just went quiet, and it just mostly stayed that way the whole retreat. I just kind of really just like felt, being outside of a monastery a whole year, basically a year and a half, kind of being more into, in society. I was not expecting my mind to just kind of go, okay, and just be pretty chill, pretty quiet, pretty just, we're on retreat. So like mental wise, wasn't bad. It was, and even like with my, like the pains and stuff like that, I just kind of like, well, I'm just going to move my leg. There wasn't like a lot of like real heavy, like mental suffering because of the pains. I just was like, okay, I've reached the end of my endurance in this position. I'm going to move my leg around a little bit. 5 feet away from me, Bhante Rahula is like a statue for like an hour. He doesn't even, like, you don't even see like a little wink in the eye. He's just like total like a statue. And I'm like, well, okay, I got to change this leg, and I got to change that leg, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. And I wasn't the only one, so I didn't feel too bad. But when you're a monk, you kind of feel like you have to be like, be that statue. You have to be like, well, yeah, well, I mean, that's a trained mind, right? When you've trained your mind and you've done a lot like seclusions and retreats, and your mind, and I would say the last 5-6 months, my mind has really been inclining towards, you probably even noticed it in how I talk. It was like how I'm pretty sure the number of times I complain about samsara and wanting to leave it has drastically increased in the last 6 months. Right? Like I could tell when like I'm starting to have that like wanting to kind of incline mindset, right? And wanting to be kind of in a peaceful, quiet environment. And that's been kind of like the inclination of my mind for a while now. Is there anybody else in the chat? I see we have 10 people on the stream now, so that's good. For those of you who just joined, maybe some of you are new. So what we do here at Dhammapalooza is we have a festival of Dhamma. It's a community event. People type in the chat to discuss what we're talking about. And when I look at the participants list, which I don't know if it's accurate, but I only see Adriana and Douse. So if there's 10 people here, maybe 8 people don't have an account on YouTube. But anyway, so yeah. Yeah. So we have a community event. We also, people can ask questions. People can suggest a topic for me to talk about or the community to talk about, these kind of things. This is why it's very helpful if you're going to be on the stream that you have a YouTube account that you can type and, engage with us in the chat. Or else it's just me and Adriana. And I mean, I love Adriana and we have a lot of fun. But still, two people does not really a community make. Yeah, I know the numbers is always kind of wacky. So I suspect also the participants list is also kind of wacky as well. All right, and now I see Elaine and Shab as well. Yeah. Elaine, yes, yeah. Come to our Discord, Sangha. Adriana can hook you up with that. All right. So you know what? I think what we're going to do is we're going to read a sutta. I've been mentioning about going over the simile of the saw for what? 4 or 5 Dhammapaloozas? Something like that. So let's do the simile of the saw. Kakacupama Sutta. All right. Now, I think we have done. This on. Yeah, Adriana. It tells me when you post something on there, it says, "Do you want to allow it?" And I click yes. Actually, can I make you a moderator? Guess what? You're a moderator now, Adriana. Let's try to post a link or something like that. Type, because I think once you type, there you go. See, look at that. You got a blue name now and a little wrenchy thing. See if you can post a link now. Well, if it gets to your head, I can just remove you as moderator. It's easy. But I trust you. Yes, yeah, you posted a link. Very good. I see it. All right, good. That'll be helpful to me too, so I don't have to worry about it. You dare deny my power? That is a Discord in joke. If anybody's not in the Discord, they're like, what did Bhante just say? Why is he talking about his power? All right. So let's get to Kakacupama, huh? Did I post the link? Yes, I did. All right. Well, that a millionaire, that would be my line because I'm the emperor. Another inside Discord joke. All right, let me post the link again. There we go. Shab asked a question here. right when we're about to start Kakacupama, but that's okay. So I remember a sutta where the Buddha states sensuality for the reason for picking up swords, etc. As the reason for ill will, which I can definitely see, but perhaps you can elaborate. I don't know if it's sensuality per se. Now, there are a bunch of suttas, like maybe 4 or 5 or 6 suttas that use this framework in the sutta, so maybe it's a little different. But off the top of my head, I remember mine as so you have craving, right? And then you grasp. When you grasp, you covet, right? When you covet, you protect, right? If you lose, you seek. So it's in. So what it is, it's in this kind of coveting and grasping and holding on to things and needing to protect them, right? Or not having them and wanting them, that leads to the taking up of swords, etc., and violence, right? So the Buddha is essentially kind of giving this. I kind of just paraphrase it. There's a bunch of steps, but the Buddha is essentially kind of giving this rundown of how our craving and our clinging lead to essentially being violent towards others for our craving and clinging. It's kind of like that simile that I always use about in samsara, how we're kind of like ping pong balls, shooting around, and essentially most people, I mean, obviously there's the rare kind of maybe psychopath or whatever, but the average person is just essentially trying to find their own happiness, that they go about it in all kinds of different ways, but they're just ping-ponging, people are just ping-ponging all over, and every once in a while, the ping-pongs hit, right? And we, can cause suffering to each other, or we can cause benefit to each other. Mostly it's suffering, right? Because the ping-pongs are chasing after their craving and they're clinging, right? And so it's this craving and clinging that has us running around trying to chase after happiness, chase after pleasant feeling, pleasant experience that will essentially inevitably lead us towards unskillful activity with other beings, right? With fighting, even if it's not violent, it's fighting, right? Fighting, argument, disputation, picking up of knives, swords, etc., right? So that's what the Buddha is saying in those suttas. That's the system. That's essentially the cycle, the dependent origination that leads to the picking up of swords, etc. All right, Kakacupama. So I have heard. At one time, the Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. Now at that time, the venerable Paguna of the top knot. So the name there is Malaya Paguna. Right? Those of you who know Arash and I had a little joke with Malaya Paguna. When we talked about this sutta, we would have a little Italian mafia voice from Malia. Hey, it's Malia. But anyway, Malaya Paguna has troubles. He has problems. Because Malaya Paguna was mixing too closely together with the bhikkhunis. So much so that if any mendicant criticized those nuns in his presence, Malaya Paguna would get angry and upset and even instigate disciplinary proceedings. Now, this is Bhante Sujato's translation. I wonder if I can do, okay, unfortunately, we don't have Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation here on Sutta Central, but I love Bhikkhu Bodhi's translation of this, make a case out of it. They will make a case out of it. Bhante Sujato's is a bit more literal here. because it is technically about disciplinary proceedings, but I like the way Bhikkhu Bodhi said, make a case out of it. All right. So, and if any mendicant criticized Amalia Paguna in their presence, those nuns got angry and upset and even instigated disciplinary proceedings. They got wrapped up in group, out group, right? Even like family members, brothers and sisters, they can fight, amongst each other. But as soon as somebody from the outside, yells at one of them, all the people in that group defend that person, even if they were just arguing with them five minutes before, right? That's what this is, right? They're so close knit that the minute one of them is criticized, they attack, they pounce. They say, I can't believe you would say this. They make a case out of it, right? Because of that attachment, right? Because they and these are monastics, no less. These are not lay people. These are monastics. All right, just checking the chat real quick. All right. Proceedings. Okay. That's how much Malia Paguna was mixing too closely together with the nuns. Then a mendicant went up to the Buddha, bowed, sat down to one side, and told him what was going on. So the Buddha addressed a certain monk. Please, monk, in my name, tell the mendicant Malia Paguna that the teacher summons him. Yes, sir, that monk replied. He went to Malia Paguna and said to him, Reverend Paguna, the teacher summons you. Yes, Reverend, Paguna said. He went to the Buddha, bowed, sat down to one side. The Buddha said to him, Is it really true, Paguna, that you've been mixing overly closely together with the bhikkhunis? So much so that if any mendicant criticizes those nuns in your presence, you get angry and upset and even instigate disciplinary proceedings. And if any mendicant criticizes you in those nuns' presence, they get angry and upset and even instigate disciplinary proceedings. Is that how much you're mixing overly closely together with the nuns, with the bhikkhunis? Yes, sir. Paguna, are you not a gentleman that has gone forth from the lay life into homelessness? Yes, sir. As such, it is not appropriate for you to mix so closely with the bhikkhunis. So if anyone criticizes those nuns in your presence, you should give up any thoughts, desires of the lay life. So here, Buddha's making it very clear that this whole little, us versus them, tit-tat kind of, infighting thing, that's a layperson thing. That's not a monk thing. Lay people can do that if they want. But as a monk, you're supposed to be something different. You're supposed to be better than that. Now, it's very important. If that happens, you should train like this. So the Buddha is giving us a technique for dealing when somebody has harsh words, right? This is how you should train. My mind will be unaffected. In other suttas, when Buddha is talking to his son Rahula, he says, be like the earth. People come and they dump feces and urine and they do all kinds of crap to the earth. But the earth remains solid and even and straight. Right? Be like the earth. People can throw all kinds of crap at you, but you remain with the mind unaffected, right? I will blurt out no bad words. I will remain full of compassion with a heart of love and no secret hate. That is how you should train. Now let me see if I remember the Bhikkhu Bodhi version, because I memorized this because I love the Bhikkhu Bodhi version, and I would use it in my Metta retreats all the time. My mind shall remain unaffected, and I shall utter no evil words. I shall abide compassionate for their welfare. And starting with that person, I shall abide the all-encompassing world with a mind full of goodwill, of metta, abundant, exalted, immeasurable, without hatred or ill will. Right? It's very beautiful. So it's metta. Right? That the Buddha is saying. Your mind shall practice that you don't get affected. You don't automatically jump, anger and all kinds of stuff. Your mind is unaffected. You won't just automatically yap out words, right? You'll try to remain mindful. And you'll have compassion for that person, right? This is like what I tell people. I say, like if somebody, whatever, gives you the finger on the road or cuts you off or whatever, and I say, well, maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're having a bad life. Who knows? It's not personal. Excuse me. So, and then you reflect, you have those reflections, and then you practice metta. Right? That's how you should train. So now Buddha is, what's the word? He's going even stronger, even deeper. It just started out with words. So even if someone strikes those nuns with fists, so Bhante Sujato has really ellipsed this here and put it all essentially into one word. In the suttas, in the Bhikkhu Bodhi suttas, in the Pali, it goes that whole section for each one of these. So it goes from words to fists. So if someone strikes those nuns with a fist, with stones, with rods, and swords in your presence, you should give up any desire and thoughts of the lay life. If that happens, you should train like this. Same way. Right? My mind shall remain unaffected. I will blurt out no bad words. I remain full of compassion with a heart of love and no secret hate. Right? Now, this is where you lose some people. Right? This is what I call the Buddha's metta ideal. Right? This is how you should practice metta. This sutta. Right? This is the metta ideal. What he's saying in here, he's saying this is how you should train. He's not expecting you to be like this off the bat, right? This is part of your practice. Some people might be like, oh, well, of course, if somebody says, bad words to somebody, I'm like, okay, I understand. But if they're hitting them with fists or such and such and such, right? Notice here, though, he's talking about the mind. He's not mentioning anything about action other than don't blurt out evil words, right? So he's not saying you should do this or you shouldn't do that or anything. He's talking about the state of your mind. That's an important thing to understand. And why? Because the Buddha knows that the state of your mind, if in an emergency you remain mindful, then you will act much more skillfully in that situation than if you didn't. Right? If you are mindful, if you don't just act on impulse, then you can perhaps diffuse a situation, right? Or you can see, you can observe what's happening, and you can see an action that you say, oh, this is what I should do in this situation, right? But you couldn't see that if you got all angry and puffed up and, kind of just jumped into the fray. You can't see that. So even if it's something that you feel like you need to act on, right? I mean, if somebody's like beating somebody with a sword in front of me, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to just stand there and just be like, well, metta, whatever. I mean, obviously, I would want to do something at the very least, but if I'm mindful and I see what's happening, and then I can make a good decision. If I'm not, then most likely my decision is going to end up making things worse, being harmful, right? So you should have compassion for all the parties involved, right? This is even the person that is doing what you would consider to be the bad thing. Have compassion for them, and then metta for them and metta for all beings, right? That's very important. So, fist, stones, rods, and swords, etc. If that happens, you should train. My mind will be unaffected. I shall blurt no evil words. I will remain compassion for their welfare with a heart of metta and no secret hate. See, the secret hate's an interesting word here that Bhante is using. It's really kind of like it's dosa. So it's like, that lobha, dosa, moha, greed, hatred, and delusion. It's like ill will in the mind. That's what is meaning here. So not even having ill will in the mind, let alone having it in the face or having it in your actions, right? Very, very interesting, very hard, very important. So if anyone criticizes you in your presence, you should give up any desires and thoughts for the lay life. If that happens, you should train like this. My mind will be unaffected. I will blurt out no evil words. I will remain compassionate for their welfare with a mind of metta and no secret hate. No ill will. That's how you should train. So, paguna. Even if somebody strikes you with fists, stones, rods, and swords, you should give up any desires and thoughts of the lay life. If that happens, you should train thus. My mind will remain unaffected. I will blurt out no bad words. I will remain full of compassion with a heart of love and no secret hate. That's how you should train. Tao says it's hard to see when the mind goes burr. The Buddha tells us that it's hard to see when you're full of any emotion. Fear. Just look at all the responses, to COVID over the last year and a half, from governments to people. So much fear created so many cause of so many responses, right? Lots of good responses, lots of bad responses, some okay responses, some good responses, right? Fear. So if your mind is full of hatred, lust, fear, any strong emotion, your ability to mindfully and skillfully make decisions is shot. It's done, right? That's like if you've ever been in love and stuff like that, you see that too, right? It's like, oh, okay, you have these like Google eyes, and then like you get married, and then 2 years later, like, how did I marry that person? Because you didn't have any mindfulness. You didn't have any. You weren't seeing things with reality, right? Because you're in a state that you didn't see things the way they are, right? The Buddha uses the example of like a pot of water, and so like an angry mind, and in this pot of water, a person is trying to see their reflection in the water, right? And if your mind is angry, then it's like boiling water. Did you ever like, making pasta or whatever, and you look down in the water? Have you ever, can you see your reflection in the water, boiling water? No. Right? And then there's like mossy water, muddy water, all these different things, which are all essentially, it's all the simile of you ain't seeing your reflection in there. You can't see clearly. And then the Buddha says, you can't see what's good for you. You can't see what's good for others. And you can't see what's good for both. Right? So making decisions when you have any kind of those emotions in your mind, bad idea. Bad idea. Bad idea. Right? If you're all full of lust and love or whatever, don't go to Vegas and get married. Right? If you're angry at somebody, don't just let yourself become the Incredible Hulk. Right? If you're fearful about things, don't let the fear control you and put you in a cave, trying to hide away from the world. Right? None of those are good responses. Right? They might be good survival responses. Right? Obviously they wouldn't be there if we didn't evolve to have them. Right? So in a survival situation, maybe those responses have validity. But in the modern world, in society, they might even also still have validity, but you have to be careful, right? You don't want to act out of those. Not good. Hubertus Herman. Oh, an Indonesian friend. Hello. Welcome. What sutta? Are you talking about the simile of the water? The simile of the water is in the sutta where the Buddha talks about the 5 hindrances. We went over that a couple weeks ago. It's like SN 45.5, I think. That's where those similes come from, the 5 hindrances. So anger is a mind that is a water that's boiling. Restlessness and worry is a water that's being filled by the wind. Like there's lots of wind and the water's moving around. Sloth and torpor is like there's lots of moss covering the water kind of a thing. So that's where you find those from the Buddha talking about the 5 hindrances. If you type into Google, actually, never mind. Hold on. I can just give it to you guys. I do believe that the Bhante has the similes in there. That's the 5 mental hindrances and their the 5 mental hindrances and their conquest, right? So those similes you can find in there, and the Bhante here in that he posts the sutta links, the sutta numbers as well. So it's all there. Hello, Moonlit. Good to see you. I'm doing okay today. Little tired. Actually, probably a lot tired. But otherwise, well. A millionaire says, mine is like that friend who waits until you make a fool of yourself and then is like, why would you do or say that? No, well, well, first of all, it's the friend that that kind of incites you to do something and then says, why would you do or say that? Come on, let's do this. This will be fun. And they're like, oh, well, why would you do that after you've done it, right? So let's continue on with the sutta. Mendicants, I used to be satisfied with the mendicants. Once I addressed them, I eat food in one sitting per day. Doing so, I find that I'm healthy and well, nimble and strong, and living comfortably. You too should eat your food in one sitting per day. Doing so, you'll find that you're healthy and well, nimble and strong, and living comfortably. I didn't have to keep instructing those mendicants. I just had to prompt their mindfulness. Suppose a chariot stood harnessed to thoroughbreds at a level crossroads, with goad ready. Then a deft horse trainer, a master charioteer, might mount the chariot, taking the reins in his right hand and a goad in his left. He'd drive out and back wherever he wishes, whenever he wishes. In the same way, I didn't have to keep on instructing those mendicants. I just had to prompt their mindfulness. So mendicants, you too should give up what's unskillful and devote yourselves to skillful qualities. In this way, you'll achieve growth, improvement, and maturity in this teaching and training. Suppose that not far from a town or a village, there was a large grove of sal trees that was choked with castor oil weeds. Then along came a person who wanted to help and protect and nurture that grove. They cut down the crooked sal saplings that were robbing the sap and throw them out. They'd clear up the interior of the grove and probably care for the straight, well-formed sal saplings. In this way, in due course, the sal would grow, increase, and mature. In the same way, mendicants, you too should give up what's unskillful and devote yourselves to skillful qualities. So this is the Buddha's using this example of somebody who is like a forester, right? Somebody who is tending to the forest, right? And you could see that if you're in a forest, you'll see that there's big trees, right? But there's lots of little trees as well. And they all kind of start out like as little and they grow, and some of them get bigger and kind of win the race and others don't, right? So it's just like that foresters, they go cutting out, clearing all this other stuff so that the big surviving trees will thrive. This is how you cleanse your mind, right? How you cut out unskillful qualities, unskillful habits, right? Just like this forester. That is how you grow and increase and mature in the teachings. In the same way, mendicants, you too should give up what's unskillful and devote yourselves to skillful qualities. In this way, you'll achieve growth, improvement, and maturity in this teaching and training. Once upon a time, mendicants, right here in Savatthi. Now we come to the famous story. Very, very funny story, I think. This is one of the most famous stories in the suttas, right? And this is a very valuable, very important story. What do I think about this sutta, Moonlit is saying? Well, I'm talking about it. That's why I'm giving commentary as we're going through the suttas. Oh, thank you, Hubertus. I appreciate that. All right. So let's hear about the housewife Vedehika. Right? Once upon a time, mendicants right here in Savatthi, there was a housewife named Vedehika. She had this good reputation. The housewife Vedehika is sweet, even-tempered, and calm. Now Vedehika had a bonded maid named Kali, who was skilled, tireless, well-organized in her work. So this is Bhante Sujato uses a bond servant instead of slave, like all the other translations. You'll see slave. I don't quite know why. I think because he feels that in ancient India, the slavery wasn't permanent. It was like you pay off your debt and you're not a slave anymore. I don't know. I don't know the history of that, to be honest with you. But most translations will say it's a slave, but here Bhante Sujato has changed it to this one is bonded maid, or bond servant. So now Vedika had a bond name named Kali. So here comes Kali. She's a very good worker. She's skilled, tireless, well organized, right? If you were a boss, if you had a crew of people that worked under you, you'd be like, Kali is the one I can depend on, right? And because some of the other, people, some of the other maids are probably indigent, they probably don't do their work very well. Maybe Mistress Vedehik is like, Kali, can you please do this for me, right? That's what happens when you do your job well. You get more work. And you might get praise for it, but most likely you won't. That's just the way it goes. You were talking about a Sutta moonlit. Okay. Yeah, I don't think the link posted, so I didn't see it. All right. Then Kali thought, my mistress has a good reputation of being sweet, even-tempered, and calm. But does she actually have anger in her and just not show it? Or does she have no anger? Or is it just because my work is well organized that she doesn't show anger? Even though she still has it inside. Why don't I test my mistress? So Kali the troll comes out. She's like, all right, let's do a scientific experiment. Let's see if there's really anger in my mistress who has this good reputation. So Kali got up during the day. Vedehika said to her, so I guess, again, this translation. So what this is saying is, so instead of getting up in the morning, she kind of got up in the, the line there says in the middle of the day. So so basically she got up after lunch. Right? Instead of getting up in the morning to work, she's like, I think I'll wait till after lunch and I'll get up. So Kali got up during the day. Vedehika said to her, what the hell, Kali? Now this is where Bhante Sujato's translations shine. I love that he chose to use the what the hell. Right? So here comes what the hell, Kali. Adriana says, so trolls existed 2,600 years ago. Yeah, of course. It's a human trait that people like to push people's buttons. I have that trait as well. Ajahn Chah did the same thing. Right? Very good, Hubertus. Yes, it's very possible for all of us to become stream mentors, lay or monastic. And if you're a faith follower, if you have strong faith, it's even possible to become a Sotapanna according to the suttas just from faith alone. Right? I'm not a strong faith follower. The faith and confidence I have in the Triple Gem was something I had to earn the hard way over lots of years of practice. But it can happen. What the hell, Kali? So let me see the. Hey, I want to see. Hey, so I guess the Pali word there is J, and it says a vocative particle to address a slave woman or a woman of low grade. right? So she's calling her like, hey, whatever, bitch or hoe or whatever. I don't know. But what the hell, Kali? What is this, madam? Madam. King I? You're getting up in the day. What's wrong with you, girl? What's up with you, girl? Nothing, madam. Nothing's up, you bad girl. But you get up in the day. Angry and upset, she scowled. Now keep an understanding here, right? So, like, she got angry and upset, like this, right? It hasn't reached the point where she yelled, she really kind of cursed out yet. I mean, a little bit, she said, what the hell, Kali, or whatever. But, really hasn't really strongly used her words yet. Hasn't done any physical action yet. But you can now, Kali's able to see from the scowl that, there's stuff in there. Right? I got a reaction. I can see the scowl. Then Kali thought, my mistress actually has anger in her and just doesn't show it. It's not that she has no anger. It's just because my work is well organized that she doesn't show anger, even though she still has it inside. Why don't I test my mistress further? Kali the troll is pushing the button even deeper this time. Doing her hypothesis, right? She got some first results from her hypothesis, and now she's doing a second study, a second test. Kali got up later in the day. Vedehika said to her, what the hell, Kali? What is it, madam? You're getting up later in the day. What's up with you, girl? Nothing, madam. Nothing's up, you bad girl. But you get up later in the day. Angry and upset, she blurted out angry words. Second day, it's come out now. Then Kali thought, my mistress actually has anger in her and just doesn't show it. It's not that she has no anger. It's just because my work is well organized that she doesn't show anger, even though it's still inside of her. Why don't I test my mistress further? Test number 3. Keep going. We're going to keep this going. So, Kali got up even later in the day. Vedehika said to her, what the hell, Kali? What is it, madam? You're getting up even later in the day. What's up with you, girl? Nothing, madam. Nothing's up, you bad girl, but you get up even later in the day. Angry and upset, she grabbed a rolling pin. I was just looking at the Pali word for what they say, rolling pin. I guess it could be that. Right? But anyway, okay. So angry and upset, she grabbed a rolling pin and hit Kali over the head with it, cracking it open, right? So started out in the mind, came out to words, and now a physical action has been done. Then Kali, with blood pouring from her cracked skull, denounced her mistress to the neighbors. Now, I don't know. I mean, a cracked skull is a pretty rough result to acquire for the little bit of things that you found out about in your little experiment. But that's what happened. Then Kali, with blood pouring from her cracked skull, denounced her mistress to the neighbors. See, ladies, what the sweet one did. See what the even-tempered one did. See what the calm one did. How on earth can she grab a rolling pin and hit her only maid on the head, cracking it open for just getting up late? Then after some time, the housewife Vedehika got this bad reputation. The housewife Vedehika is fierce, ill-tempered, and not calm at all. In the same way, a mendicant may be the sweetest of sweet, the most even-tempered of even-tempered, the calmest of calm, so long as they don't encounter disagreeable criticism. Right? So this is now the Buddha is saying, this is the example. In the same way, a monk can be very calm, very, very holy looking, very, soft spoken, and then all of a sudden something happens, and then the Hulk comes out, monk Hulk, Bhikkhu Hulk comes out, right? So long as they don't encounter disagreeable, but it's when they encounter disagreeable criticism that you'll know whether they're really sweet, even-tempered, and calm. I don't say that a mendicant is easy to admonish if they make themselves easy to admonish, only for the sake of robes, alms, food, lodgings, and medicines and supplies for the sick. Why is that? Because when they don't get robes, alms, food, lodging, and medicines and supplies for the sick, they're no longer easy to admonish. But when a mendicant is easy to admonish purely because they honor, respect, revere, worship, and venerate the teaching, then I say they're easy to admonish. So mendicants, you should train yourselves. We will be easy to admonish purely because we honor, respect, revere, worship, and venerate the teaching. Right? So here you can be try to be very humble and accept, people's criticisms, because you're going to get something out of it. Oh, he's a very holy, humble monk, right? So the Buddha says, I don't call those people easy to admonish, right? It's only when there's no egoistic, there's no identity attachment to it, right? Because I love the Dhamma, I love these teachings so well, I love the Dhamma Vinaya, I want to become a good monk, I want to, such and such, so please admonish me. Right? When I became an anagarika, so before I was even a samanera or a bhikkhu, when I went to become an anagarika, Bhante Ji says, this is your advice for your monkhood. He said, be like Rahula. Because he said the Buddha told Rahula to get many advices. Right? So Bhante Ji told me to be like Rahula and get many advices, right? So to listen to senior monastics, to ask them for advice, to accept their admonishment, right? If they see that I'm doing something wrong, right? To accept this and to learn from it and such, right? And that's just what I did. Every senior monastic I've ever met, I've asked them for advice about, being a junior monk and all these kind of things. So it's a good thing to be that way. So, mendicants, there are these 5 ways in which others might criticize you. Their speech may be timely or untimely, true or false, gentle or harsh, beneficial or harmful, from a heart of love or from secret hate. When others criticize you, they may do so in any of these ways. If that happens, you should train like this. Our minds will remain unaffected and we shall blurt out no bad words. We will remain full of compassion with a heart of love with no secret hate. So listen to this thing about this. It's the same training, whether it's abusive and harmful speech or gentle and beneficial speech, right? It doesn't matter one way, or the other. You train the same way. Your mind shall remain affected. So you don't get really angry and agitated at the harsh speech, and you don't get like, ooh, I like this. They're praising me. You don't get like, puffed up identity, ego on the positive speech. You train the same way. We will meditate spreading a heart of love to that person, and with them as a basis, we will meditate spreading a heart of love, full of love to everyone in the world, abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity and ill will. That's how you should train. Suppose a person was to come along carrying a spade and basket, and they say, I shall make this great earth without earth. Somebody's like, I'm going to take this shovel and I'm going to dig up the whole earth. Right? And they dig all over, scatter all over, spit all over, and urinate all over, saying, be without earth, be without earth. What do you think, mendicants? Could that person make this great earth be without earth? No, sir. Why is that? Because the great earth is deep and limitless. It's not easy to make it be without earth. That person would eventually get weary and frustrated. In the same way, there are these 5 ways in which others might criticize you. Their speech might be timely or untimely, true or false, gentle or harsh, beneficial or harmful, with a heart of love or a heart of secret hate. When others criticize you, they may do so in any of these ways. If that happens, you should train like this. Our minds will remain unaffected. We shall blurt out no bad words. We will remain full of compassion with a heart of love and no secret hate. We will meditate spreading a heart of love to that person. And with them as a basis, we will meditate spreading a heart like the earth to everyone in the world. Abundant, exalted, limitless, free of enmity and ill will. That's how you should train. Suppose a person were to come along with dye, such as red lac, turmeric, indigo, or rose madder, and say, I shall draw pictures in the sky, making pictures appear there. What do you think, mendicants? Could that person draw pictures in the sky? No, sir. Why is that? Because the sky is formless and invisible. It's not easy to draw pictures there. Right? Yeah, they had to wait for there to be planes that carry banners. Then stuff can be drawn in the sky, right? Or planes that do the smoke thing. But anyway, so that person will eventually get weary and frustrated and get paint all over. In the same way, there are these 5 ways in which others might criticize you. Suppose a person were to come along carrying a blazing grass torch and say, I shall burn and scorch the river Ganges with this blazing grass torch. What do you think, mendicants? Could that person burn and scorch the river Ganges with this blazing grass torch? No, sir. Why is that? Because the river Ganges is deep and limitless. It's not easy to burn and scorch it with the blazing grass torch. That person will eventually get weary and frustrated. In the same way, there are these 5 ways in which others might criticize you. ... So they're ellipsing that because we've already heard the 5 ways, right? Suppose there was a catskin bag that was rubbed, well rubbed, very well rubbed, soft, silky, rid of rustling and crackling. Then a person comes along carrying a stick or a stone and says, I shall make this soft catskin bag rustle and crackle with this stick or stone. What do you think, mendicants? Could that person make this soft catskin bag rustle and crackle with that stick or stone? No, sir. Why is that? Because the catskin bag is well rubbed, very well rubbed, soft, silky, rid of rustling and crackling. It's not easy to make it rustle or crackle with a stick or stone. That person will eventually get weary and frustrated. In the same way, there are these 5 ways in which others might criticize you. Their speech might be timely and untimely, true or false, gentle or harsh, beneficial or harmful, from a heart of love or from a heart of secret hate. When others criticize you, they may do so in any of these ways. If that happens, you should train like this. Our minds will remain unaffected. We will blurt out no bad words. We will remain full of compassion with a heart of love and no secret hate. We will meditate spreading a heart of love to that person, and with them as a basis, we will meditate spreading the heart of like a catskin bag to everyone in the world, abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity and ill will. That's how you should train. Now we come to the end. We're at the end of the sutta. All right, so I see there's some stuff in the chat. So let me finish out the sutta, and then we'll go. Hello, Brandon. Now we come to the coup de grace, right? The Buddha has gone through and said, if a person is saying bad things to other, people that you're attached to or to yourself, right? Or if they're, hitting you or the other person with a stick or rock, a clod, like a fist of dirt, a sword, etc. This is how you should train. Right? So the Buddha has been progressively increasing the severity of the situation, and now he tops it off, the penultimate situation. Even if low-down bandits were to sever you limb from limb, anyone who had a malevolent thought on that account would not be following my instructions. Whew, that's a harsh one, isn't it? Could you imagine? Could you be, having a big saw and they're sawing off your arms and legs and things like that, and you could have a mind that's completely full of metta, as it says, as the Buddha has told us to train. Could you do that? I don't think I could. I test myself every once in a while, and I think, how's my metta going? Could I do that? If somebody was killing me, could I remain full of metta? And I think the answer is kind of like, probably not yet. I'm probably not there 100%. Yeah. No, douse. Rusty saw or normal saw? Yeah. Well, I don't think you're surviving it one way or the other. So, if that happens, you should train like this, right? Not surprising. We've heard this 6 times already, 7 times already, right? If you're being sawed into pieces, our mind will remain unaffected, and we shall blurt out no bad words. We will remain full of compassion with a heart of love and no secret hate. We will meditate spreading a heart of love to that person, and with them as a basis, we will meditate spreading a heart full of love to everyone in the world. Abundant, expansive, limitless, free of enmity and ill will. That's how you should train. If you frequently reflect on this advice, the simile of the saw, right? Simile of the saw. If you frequently reflect on this advice. So the Buddha is saying this to Malayapaguna. All of this that I've said, if you frequently reflect on this, do you see any criticism, large or small, that you could not endure? No, sir. Right? So mendicants, you should frequently reflect on this advice, the simile of the saw. This will be for your lasting welfare and happiness. This is what the Buddha said. Satisfied, the mendicants were happy with what the Buddha said. So in the end, the Buddha goes on this long roundabout, right? Going through all the levels of being physically attacked and being sawed in half. So the Buddha's like, knowing how you're supposed to train in all of these situations, are you going to get all up in arms when somebody says something you don't like anymore? And Malayapaguna is like, no, I think I'm good. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. Right? I mean, wouldn't you? Like if the Buddha's like saying like if you're saw from in half in pieces, this is how you should train. Are you gonna get all flustered worried about words anymore? Nah, no, I'm good. Words are wind, no problem. That's why one of the things I've heard in the last couple of years that people say words are violence. I should say, well then you should read the simile of the saw. see about being sawed into pieces, and then you'll see about violence. Words are just wind. So knowing this, do you think that you should have problems with something when somebody says, nope, I'm good. I just don't want to get sawed into pieces. Thanks. All right. So let's go to the chat. Moonlit says, that feels like dangerous karma to me to pull people's anger out. Well, she got a broken skull out of it, so you could say that's karma in action, instant karma. Hubertus says, I want to ask, I'm a gamer. I see anger comes if I lose or I kill people in the game with satisfaction. But I'm aware of it, but too late. How about karma? So I wouldn't conflate like playing, shooting people and playing games and stuff like that. I wouldn't conflate that with like actually hurting people in real life and karma. Right? I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't conflate that. Like, like if you were on the chat in the game and you were saying all kinds of, bad, nasty things or whatever, then maybe, that's acting in an unskillful way. But if you're just playing the game, yeah, I wouldn't worry about karma in that regard. I mean, when you're playing the game, if you get a kill, are you doing it? Are you excited because you killed? I killed this person. Or are you kind of excited because you achieved something? Like, oh, yes, I got him. Right? It's way different. Like if you were in a war and you had to be in hand-to-hand combat, it's either you or this person in here, you have knives, right? That's way different than that's like, oh, I survived. It's not like, oh, I got him. A millionaire says, I found this sutta funny the first time I read it. It's like a Tom and Jerry episode. Yeah, actually, so this is not bad. It is kind of like a Tom and Jerry episode. What is skillful? What is unskillful? What is blameworthy? What is blameless? Is that a question, Moonlight? Or are you just quoting something? Oh, okay, there it is. The wise are unaffected by both praise and blame. Yes, exactly. Brandon says they did that in Harry Potter. What did they do? I'm continuing to read the chat here. Yeah, Adriana says, I love that. Having a mind like the sky, allowing things to rise and float away. Yeah. John says, cats got used for all manner of things in the ancient world, it would seem. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that was probably a lion or a tiger or a puma or something like that. There's not that much skin in an average like house cat to make that big of a bag. So I'm gonna assume that it was probably like a large predator animal. John says, this is, I guess we were talking about the saw up by this point. I can barely last a half hour on Twitter. Saws are a harder challenge. Yeah. Even harder challenge for some. Metta for whoever disliked the stream. Uh-oh, somebody disliked the stream? Oh boy. Yes, Metta for whoever disliked the stream. I don't see a dislike because I'm in the live stream thing, right? I only see the likes. So Dow says, in a game, kill with a heart full of love. Oh boy. Jeez. Well, like what I would say is, right, if you're playing multiplayer, you're interacting with other humans. So your actions, I would say, count as karma there, right? Like, how do you kind of talk in the chat, or like how do you act? How do you engage with those people? That's, you're engaging with people, right? Like engaging with 3D sprites on a screen, if they're just, you're playing like a single player or whatever, that's way different. That's way different. All right. So it looks like the chat. Oh, John posted something. Well, we can't do DN24 now, but I could save it for next time. Let me put it in my browser here so I'll have it. It is a Digha Nikaya, so those are the long suttas. It might take us more than one Dhammapalooza to do that. All right. So, we're at 921, 923. Maybe we should do our we should do our guided meditation now. Because then when we're done with that, it'll be 9:55 and we can end it. So I think we've come to the end. We'll do our guided meditation. Good night, Dust. Skipping out right at the meditation. Have a good night, Mr. 3 or 4 in the morning or whatever. All right. So put your body in whatever meditative position that you find is good for you. We'll start our body scanning by bringing our awareness to our feet. And when I say bring your awareness, this means that you try to come into contact and be aware of any sensations or feeling that arise when you observe the feet. What is the feeling of the feet touching the ground, etc.? We do this as a training exercise to understand the body, to bridge the gap between the external world and the internal, the subtle breath, which is harder to follow. So it's good to start with the body. It's also good to use this exercise to observe your posture, the balance of your various body parts, how that affects your posture, and any small pains or discomforts that you can adjust your posture to alleviate that now, instead of letting it become much bigger later on. So continuing up through the ankles, the calves, the knees into the thighs. If you're having trouble becoming aware of sensations in the various parts, you can prompt yourself by asking yourself the question, what do I see? What do I feel? Bring your awareness to your pelvis, hips, and buttocks. This is a very important part of your posture. The placement of your pelvis affects the balance of the spine, the upper body. So it's important to keep that in mind when you check the position of the pelvis. Checking the sits bones, the bones that point out around your buttocks, are evenly distributed on a cushion or a chair. Think of your lower body as the foundation. You need a good, firm foundation to build a house on top. So the posture and positioning of the lower body affects the whole posture above it, the upper body and the head. When you've set your lower body up in a comfortable and stable position, bring your awareness up through your abs, your chest. Check the position of the spine, that it's not slouching and leaning. It's not stretched out, but with its natural curvature, just resting on top of the pelvis. No need to twist or contort it in one way or another. Bring your awareness to your shoulders, checking that they're hanging loosely, not scrunched up and tight. Down through the arms, the elbows, and the hands. Checking that they're resting comfortably and in a position that supports your posture. Doesn't cause any imbalances, slouchings, and leanings. And finally, bring your awareness to your head, checking to make sure that the chin is parallel to the ground and the head itself is balanced, not leaning or slouching one way or another. And when you've set your body up in a comfortable and stable position, let the body go and take 3 deep breaths. And then let the breath go. From here on in, we do not wish to manipulate or control the breath in any way. This body has been breathing from the moment you were born and will continue to do so until the second you die. Doesn't need you to do its job. Your job is to simply observe and follow the breath. Watch as this body breathes in. Watch as this body breathes out. Remember to lay down your burdens. Put down your world for the time of this meditation. Your responsibilities and worries, fears, families and friends, work and school, all of these things. Put them down for now and follow the breath. As you're following the breath, you will be distracted. This is normal. You didn't do anything wrong, nor did you fail. This is simply the mind showing you how it's work, showing you its craving. Whenever you get distracted away from the breath, whether it be from the inner thought worlds or external sounds and distractions, first acknowledge that you've been distracted. Practice letting go of it by not becoming attached to it or getting averse to it and pushing it away. And then let go and return to the breath. Practice acknowledge, let go, and return every time you're distracted away from the breath. Now we'll do some metta practice for the last third of our meditation. This practice of metta uses words and visuals, but the words and visuals are not the practice. They're not the point. They're simply a means to an end. The point of metta is to develop a mind full of goodwill, free of anger and hatred. So we practice, as the Buddha explained earlier when we were going through the Kakacupama Sutta. We'll start first with the person that we may have the most agitation towards, the most criticism towards, maybe even some hatred towards. That person is ourselves. We will start by building up metta for ourselves, because if we don't have metta, if we don't build it up, we cannot share it. We cannot spread it out to all beings. So if you like, you can imagine a sphere surrounding you. And let's try to fill that sphere surrounding us, permeating it with our goodwill, our friendship. You can repeat these words if you like. And also you can visualize, if you like, yourself in front of you, looking at you, like looking in the mirror. You can use that mirror image in front of you as a place to put your metta. Giving metta to yourself like you would your best friend. And repeat these words. May I find happiness. May I find peace. May I live in friendship with all beings. May I find release from suffering. These words are meant to be not some kind of fast mantra, repeating the words and they lose their meaning. Every time you say these words, try to do so with honest, heartfelt sincerity and a wish for them to come to be. May I find happiness. May I find peace. May I live in friendship with all beings. May I find release from suffering. Starting with yourself, abide compassionate for your welfare. Permeate the sphere around you with your metta. Suffuse and fill it up with your friendliness, goodwill, as much as you can. And when you're ready, start to spread that sphere to encompass the entirety of whatever house or building you're in. The sphere encompassing all beings in that building, large and small, seen and unseen. May all beings in this building, all of us, find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass the entirety of whatever town or village that you're in, or city. Whatever beings in this town, village, or city, all of us, may all of us find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass the entirety of whatever state, region, or province you're in. May all of us in this state, region, or province find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass the entirety of the country that you're in. May all of us in this country find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere to encompass the entire earth, all the beings in it, trillions and trillions of beings, large and small. May all of us on this earth find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Spread your sphere out into the cosmos to encompass the entirety of our Milky Way galaxy. Billions of stars and planets. May all of us in this Milky Way find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. Now spread your metta sphere out into the universe and beyond, wherever there may be any being in existence. May all of us in existence find happiness. May all of us find peace. May all of us live in friendship with each other. May all of us find release from suffering. All right, friends. Come back through the universe, back to Earth, the room that you're in. Open your eyes slowly. Become acclimated to your external environment. So, friends, let us do our final housekeeping. We'll do our sharing of merit. And then that's another Dhammapalooza in the books. So let's do our sharing of merit. Dukkha patta chane dukkha, bhaya patta chane bhaya, soka patta chane soka, hontu sabbe pipaniyo, etavata chamehi sampadang punya sampadang, sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti sittiya, akasata chabumata deva naga mahidika punyang tang anumoditva charang rakantu sasanang. May the suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share in this merit of ours that we've thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas, nagas, and yakas of mighty power, share in this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And Adriana has the perfect way, the perfect statement to end this. Still don't think I can handle the saw, but that was a great metta session. Okay, friends. So, thank you for joining us. Come back every Monday, at least for the next month. Depending on where I go for my Vasa from July to October, I may or may not be doing this for a bunch of months. So we'll have to see what happens. So, but anyway, at least for the next couple of weeks, we'll still keep doing Dhammapalooza, and I'll keep you guys abreast of whatever information, whatever news happens in terms of my Vasa period. Adriana says, if you'd like to join us on our early Buddhist text, the Sutta-based Discord to learn about the suttas and how to practice the Buddhism through that lens, you can join us. Yes, no Dhammapalooza. This is worse than a saw. But all is impermanent. Dhammapalooza will go away for a while, but it'll come back if I live. As long as I live and I'm not in seclusion somewhere, Dhammapalooza will occur. So anyway, friends, until next time, Sukhi Hotu, may you be happy. Practice well and be well. May you have a spiritually successful and peaceful week. Thank you.